Hello and welcome to Focus Hoops Women's EuroLeague Bubble Breakdown. I'm Caz Bullock and I'll be talking you through Group B, the players to watch, the games of the group, all the good stuff like that. So first of all, what is EuroLeague? EuroLeague's the main women's club basketball competition in Europe. It features the top 16 teams on the continent and it's got the best players in the world. This year, the teams are set into groups of four, groups of four. And each group is playing games in a hub in just one central location. There's no home and away due to COVID, so no travel involved for the teams there. No, in theory, no home court advantage. Games start on Monday the 18th of January and go on to the 25th. So we've got 8 days of games. The top two teams from each group qualify and go on to the quarterfinals that are held on the 17th and 19th of March. So in order to qualify, each team plays each other twice. That's 6 games. You get 1 point for a loss and 2 points for a win, and then the teams that finish in the top of their groups will go through into the quarterfinals. The semi-finals take place in April, with the finals following a few days later. So let's take a look at Group B. We've got games taking place in Prague here in the Czech Republic, and we have LDLC Asvel Feminine from Lyon in France, USK Praha from the Czech Republic, ARKA Gdynia from Poland, and Fenerbahce from Turkey. So we'll start with LDLC Asvel Feminine in Lyon in France. So these guys are 2-1 currently in the EuroLeague this season. Last season they reached the quarterfinals, and in their domestic league in France they're currently 6-3. So far, 2-1. They've had wins over Fenerbahce and Gdynia, and a loss to USK Praha by a point, which was the absolute game of the group so far. It was a fantastic game to go back and watch, super close, and Marianne Johannes went off for 38 points, 6 of them three-pointers on 64% shooting. It was an incredible performance, and I think a lot of people would agree that that's been the closest game so far and the most exciting game so far. They're a team that have got fantastic ball movement. They've won 6 of their last 7 games domestically, and they have 7 players with double-digit efficiency ratings. They're such a good, strong, all-round team. So my key players to watch on Lyon are Alicia Clark, obviously Seattle Storm player in the WNBA. She's averaging 16 points per game, 4.7 rebounds and 1.3 assists. Then we have Marianne Johannes, as I mentioned before, 38 points in the last game against USK. A really solid 17 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, 6.7 assists and 2 steals. She's going to be a huge part of the roster here. And then we have Helena Siak, who shot a ridiculous 89% for 17 points and 10 rebounds in a game against Gdynia. And in the competition so far, she's averaging 13 points per game, 8.7 rebounds, 2.3 assists, and 1.7 blocks, which is huge. She has that huge inside presence that really helps them out. Okay, so moving on to USK Praha in the Czech Republic. So this team, in theory, has the home advantage because they're playing in the venues that they're used to. Obviously, no fans in the arenas, but it gives them a little bit of a benefit there that they don't have to get used to the court. They don't have to get used to what way the lights, looking at the baskets, things like that. So last season, they reached the quarterfinals of the EuroLeague. This season, they're 2-1, and they are 13-0 in the domestic league in the Czech Republic. So 2-1 in the EuroLeague. They've had wins over Lyon and ARKA Gdynia, and a loss to Fenerbahce by 7 points. The big story for these guys at the moment is the loss of Alyssa Thomas to a lower leg injury, so she's not going to be playing. They've signed Candice Dupree as a replacement, but to replace Alyssa Thomas's presence on defense on the court when she's averaging 15 points a game and 13.7 rebounds is very hard to replicate. So they're going to need players to step up and take on the role that she isn't going to be able to fulfill. The top of the domestic league, they're absolutely dominating. They're averaging 104 points per game to their opponent's 49. But as we know, EuroLeague is a completely different competition. So you can dominate your domestic league and maybe not so much in the EuroLeague. So players to watch for USK. Candice Dupree, playing with the Indiana Fever in the WNBA. She's joined USK Praha in the last week or so. So that's going to be quite a thing for her to jump into playing. She has played for the team in previous years, and she's a very seasoned player playing in Europe. She's a vet, 15 years experience in the WNBA. So she'll be able to adapt to that quite quickly. She hasn't played in Europe yet this season, but in the WNBA this summer, she was averaging 12.5 points per game, 5.7 rebounds and 2.5 assists. So while she might not fill that rebounding role and defensive role that Alyssa Thomas had, she'll be able to fill the gaps so the players can move into that kind of role, that defensive role. Then we have Maria Conde from Spain in the forward position. She's back from injury, so she hasn't played in the earlier games in December. She's averaging 16 points per game, 6 rebounds and 3.3 assists so far. And then we have Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA with an average of 18.3 points per game, 9.7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.3 steals and a block. She's going to be key here. So her defense is going to be needed in Alyssa Thomas's absence. And she plays with Alyssa Thomas in the regular season. She's obviously used to working her game around that, and with her out, it may give her an opportunity to see what else she can do. Okay. If we move on to ARKA Gdynia, who are a Polish team. So last season they were 3-11 in the group stages of EuroLeague, so they didn't make it through to any quarterfinals. This season in EuroLeague they are 0-3, and in the domestic league 14-0 in Poland, topping the table there. So the bottom of the group is Group B with 3 losses, including a 32-point loss to Lyon in their first game. They're very dominant in the Polish league, but have struggled with some of the matchups so far in the competition. They'll be seen as the underdogs, so they could be ripe to cause an upset for someone. They played Fenerbahce the closest in a 10-point loss. So my players to watch for ARKA Gdynia, we've got Artemis Spanu from Greece. She's averaging 10 points per game, 6.3 rebounds and 2 assists in the forward position. We have Alice Kunek, 17.3 points per game, 2 rebounds and just under half an assist a game. And then at point, we have Barbara Belativa, 10 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 7.3 assists, and she was the standout player in that game against Fenerbahce. She had 14 points and 13 assists in that loss. And our final team for Group B, we have Fenerbahce in Turkey. So Fenerbahce last season made it to the quarterfinals of the EuroLeague before the season was suspended and then cancelled due to the COVID situation. This season they're currently 2-1, and in the Turkish league 17-0, topping the table. So they're sitting at 2-1 with wins over Praha and Gdynia. They had a 14-point loss to Lyon, and they're a team that are packed with WNBA players. They have Satu Sabali, Kia Vaughan, Kia Stokes, Jasmine Thomas and Kayla McBride. Currently, their main concern is going to be an injury to Satu Sabali that she suffered in the domestic league about a week ago. She had an ankle injury and it's unclear whether she'll be playing or not. She was playing absolutely amazingly going into the last round of games. So she obviously debuted in the December hub and made a statement in the win over USK with 30 points and 11 rebounds. She's been averaging 20 points a game, 10.3 rebounds, 3 assists and a steal in the competition. So it's going to be a big loss if she is out. So hopefully she'll be able to make it for some games. If not, some other players are going to need to step up and replace the stats that she's been providing. And then we have Kayla McBride, Las Vegas Aces player in the WNBA. She's been averaging 21.3 points a game, 2.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists. And in the domestic league, she's shooting 46% from 3. And that is going to be huge for them because with Satu out, maybe not playing inside as much, they're going to need that outside shooting. And they get that from Kayla McBride, and they also get that from Jasmine Thomas, who is my third player to watch. So Jasmine Thomas of the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA, 19 points per game, 1 rebound, 5 assists and 4 steals in her 1 game that she's played so far. So my game to watch for Group B, the one that you need to check out, is USK Praha via LDLC Asvel Feminine in Lyon. And this is going to be a rematch of that 1-point loss where Mario Johannes scored 38 points. It's going to be a game where Lyon want to get their revenge and win this. It's going to be a really closely fought game, this is, and it's going to be tough, but I think it's going to be as exciting as the first one we saw was. So you can catch that on the FIBA YouTube channel. That's on Thursday, the 21st of January. That's going to be at 7 p.m. European time, which is 6 UK time, and 1 o'clock Eastern if you're in the States. So that's Group B. Pick a team, get involved, get watching, and then look out for the rest of our videos covering the groups. You've got Group A, Group C, and D. And then join us live on the FocusHoops YouTube channel every Thursday for the Caz and Daz show, where we cover women's basketball all around the world. We've got WNBA, we've got WBBL in the UK, WNBL, and we'll be covering the EuroLeague games, of course.